Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the show. What an incredible morning we are having so far, subhanAllah. Now we're joined by Tawhid Al-Rahman, a family mediator and the founder of Salam Mediation.
Yes, after witnessing the emotional and financial strain of family court proceedings, both personally and through the years of supporting parents as a Mackenzie friend, Tawheed dedicated himself to helping families find a better way forward.
Today, he works with separating parents and couples to resolve child arrangements and financial matters without going to court, always keeping children at the heart of conversation.
So important, and through Salam mediation, he supports families from all backgrounds to communicate more effectively, reduce conflict, and reach practical, constructive agreements. So it's my pleasure to welcome him on the show with us this morning. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Tawheed. How are you?
Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Look, first of all, I just want to say, as somebody who's been through similar experiences, so pivotal what you're doing and so essential in our community. So I'd like to thank you actually for embracing that as something that you want to kind of change the narrative on, particularly when parents with children that are quite young and vulnerable and impressionable at that age are going to go through something that's going to probably be really set the tone for how they...
And impact them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, for the rest of their life. Subhanallah. But coming back to you, right?
Sure.
Coming to you. Let's start from the beginning. I want to really scratch below the surface here, and go back to when you first started mediation. What drew you to it, and how did you kind of navigate your path into kind of getting your foot into the door?
Well, thank you. It really came from my own personal experience. I've gone through family breakdown some 17 years ago.
Subhanallah.
And I was not having access to my son and going down the whole court process and so on. I tried resolving amicably. Again, nothing against my son's mum at all. Conflict causes lots of issues in our mind, the way we see things, and breakdown especially. When there is a breakdown takes place, it's not just you're affected, your whole family is affected by it. And
it's everyone around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not always managed properly. And then I ended up resolving that, thankfully. I have great, relationship with my son. He's been to Salam Channel. He worked at the Salam Channel as well. So he's done his work experience there. Now he's trying to become a filmmaker as well. So it's been, alhamdulillah, successful. And then I ended up helping other people over the 17 years as a Mackenzie, as a volunteer Mackenzie. So going to court process is extremely expensive. Average case will cost you between 30, 50, 60,000. I've got cases over £500,000 spent each party. So that led me to see, okay, I'm helping people, but I want to do something in a constructive way. I didn't want to be a solicitor. I came from an art background. I was a documentary photographer, traveled around the world, so came from a completely different background to coming to law, which was, I wanted to help people. So mediation naturally, I found myself, or rather it found me.
Yeah, so your own story inspired you
Absolutely.
to obviously then go and inspire and help others. Do you know what's really, really nice is that obviously you being a male and saying that, it actually affected you, because I feel like it's always like a gender thing, like it's only like women that get affected and but actually you're saying like yourself,
The
like
both are affected.
Exactly.
Issues
Sometimes I think it's a bit unfair that they just kind of like penalise or kind of like just ignore like the father's feelings, but obviously they're all valid.
When separation takes place, both parties are affected somewhere or another. Of course there will be. It's a relationship. And the most problematic when there's children are involved. They're the one who suffers most, and they're going to continue to suffer as they move on. So it's not just them.
Well, it's two things, isn't it? It's either children or assets. If they've built assets together and they've got this financial conflict between each other, who's going to take the house, who's going to take the stocks in XYZ and the shares in XYZ. But, going back to what you said 17 years ago, there was not a lot of things happening for the justice of fathers anyway. I know in the last 5 years we've seen the rise of support groups and community organisations that are supporting fathers as well, because we know, if we look back at the English legal system, it was very heavy on the woman, and it was very supportive of the woman when a separation or a divorce was happening. And unfortunately, the men always kind of were left with the short end of the straw. But subhanAllah, you know, we're kind of seeing that narrative change, because you're right, it's not always the woman and it's not always the man. Sometimes
it's all parties.
It's and
everyone.
everybody needs to kind of play that fair role, and essentially more so because of the children. Yeah.
So for people who may not know, what exactly is family mediation and how does it fit into the family court?
Okay. We think mediation to resolve dispute. It is resolving dispute, and also we might come across from the perspective of reconciliation. FMC mediators, such as myself, family mediation council mediators, known as the FMC mediators, we don't look at how to reconcile relationship. It is really to help people to go their separate ways.
So moving on from that, really.
So to do with finance or to do with children issues, without needing to go to court, because going to court is expensive and time-consuming.
I don't think anyone wants to go to court.
Oh, a lot of people do, though.
You would be surprised. The reason they come to mediation, as you're saying, why, it's to go to court. So the part of the court application
is
mediation.
That's right. They have to,
At that time, they realize there's something called mediation's got to be explored. Can you sign this certificate, which we have to, so that they can apply to the court? So my job is stopping cases going to court, and so that it can be resolved.
And on average, like, what would you say is like more successful? Would, like, as you said, people come to you because they have to go through you to go to court. But like, what would you say their success rate is actually preventing that from happening?
It is quite high. I mean, if people look, the issue is they have problems, they have issues. A father not seeing the son or the child, or the mother's not getting the financial support, or they need to sort out the finances. They first instant you want to go to court. Court is the place to resolve it. In fact, that's the last place to go to court, because you're going to be spending thousands of pounds, and your issue is not going to get resolved. You may get an answer, your issue is not going to get resolved.
Not just that, but they're waiting for a long time, because as we know that there's a huge backlog in the court at the moment with regards to
you're looking at about a year and a half
cases,
to get it resolved, whereas in mediation you can get it sorted in 2 months or so. Success rate is quite high. It really depends on the issue, it depends on the mediation process, but I mean, if you look at it from the perspective of a father not seeing their child, or mother not getting the financial support, that, you know, if two parties are willing to work together, and that, first of all, a mediator has to build trust, build the rapport. So often you get to know the person, have phone call, have discussion,
and perhaps
encourage
probably
them.
before that, the two of them probably have not even been able to sat down and have that conversation anyway. That mediation might be actually the first instance where that actually happens, and then they're in a calm, kind of safe environment for the both of them, that they can actually then express that, and then that's probably
the first instance the mediator will see individually, known as the MIAMS meeting, Mediation Information Assessment meeting. After that, both parties will be invited to a joint session. Most of the mediation takes place online, so you're safe already. So if there is any reason that issues escalates, we can manage that. That's our job, to manage mediation. People think there's so high conflict. Even at the highest level of conflict, you can mediate. We can mediate where there is domestic violence issues within reason, if there is non-molestation order in place, such as court order injunction against each other, or bail condition. In such condition, you can still mediate. The FMC allows us to mediate, but those will be known as the shuttle mediation. You will not communicate each other directly through mediator. We'll go through. So there are
and
lots
for some
of
people
options.
that they can't do that, that's probably the better option for them.
Correct.
You know, because the emotions are so high, aren't
and absolutely,
they?
that's why that's the first meeting is for. The MIAMS meeting is to assess suitability of mediation, and then bring the parties to mediation. Remembering that is a voluntary process. They do not have to engage in it. But if they do, it's better for them, because the court, they shouldn't be going to court. And the court nowadays more and more sending back to mediation.
Yeah. I think from what I understand, that there is a program in place where there is certain pots of funding available for certain groups of people to actually seek mediation. So, you know, if you're going through a divorce or a separation and you don't know what the next step is, you know, brothers like Brother Tawheed here can guide you and help you really kind of navigate that journey towards, you know, an official separation slash divorce if you need to go in that direction. You know, sometimes mediation is a really good buffer in between, because it kind of saves you that. It's a little bit of like a saving grace, isn't it? It saves you from making that decision in an impulsive way, because you have to talk through the mediator. And, you know, it's essential, I believe.
Because what we do is, imagine if you've got a bowl of spaghetti, pull out the
Yeah,
threads
exactly.
of them and untangle their conflict and really get to the bottom of it, why things is happening, why they're happening.
Yeah.
And to get to the solution. Often people have a lot of noise, but they forget the issue.
The issue,
and
actually.
bringing that issue out, focusing on that issue, and then going through that process, basically.
And I want to ask, the next question I want to ask is it focuses more on the impact that actually going to court has, which is why mediation is so important between such couples in such situations, because I want you to tell our audience a little bit about the impact of going to court, not just on the two people, the husband and the wife, but on the children that have to actually endure that.
Absolutely. It's a very long process, first of all. And if whatever
can
reason...
take up to years in
every
some cases.
year and a half to 2 years, sometime longer, depending on the complexities and issues. The first time you apply, it takes about 3 months for the first hearing, and then so on and so forth. And within that time, you'll be required to try mediation, non-court dispute resolution. They want you to try, and mediation is one of those part of non-court. It is so important to resolve without going to court. And the sister was saying, why is it important? I mean, imagine you've got two parents and there's high level of conflict. The issue they have is to do with children or the finance. The cost is substantial amount. You've got solicitors working with each other. They're not communicating. They're communicating through the solicitors.
Which is extortionate.
Extortionate price. And as I said, I have a client, just, you know, they spend £600,000 each.
SubhanAllah.
And that money, even though they may be wealthy and rich, that money could have been well used.
Yeah.
But they're in mediation with me right now, without mentioning who they are, of course.
That could have gone to their family. That could have gone to help support.
And I have recently I
children.
finished a case. They been in court for 5 years. They spent £137,000 to sort out their finances. They've gone back and forth for 5 years to court, and they spent with me 3 weeks. Because end of November they came to mediation. So beginning of November, they finished in beginning of November. They went to court, and something should have taken 2 days court hearing. It took 20 minutes because everything resolved through mediation. So it does work. People just need to give it a try.
But what are the common misconceptions about mediation? Because I feel like a lot of people probably see mediation as oh no, I don't need that. You know,
or even maybe see it as a means of counselling. Like, I don't want to go back with him. Why am I going to have mediation?
So what would you say the most common misconceptions
especially
are?
in our community, in the Asian subcontinental community, there is a huge misunderstanding. The whole idea that we don't want to get back together, so that reconciliation, we don't do that. FMC registered mediator, not concerned that you want to come back together. That's not our role. You come to mediation to resolve it. And misconception is, why should I talk to this? Well, it's not legally binding. It is not legally binding. But the document you create in mediation can be made into legally binding. So the process itself is free from any legalities. So we don't even encourage talk legality languages. You need to keep it as informal, accessible as possible. So it is... In misconception is that it's not going to get resolved. We can't sit down and talk. We need a judge. We need somebody to tell us. Think about it. Somebody needs to tell you when you should see your child or not see your child. Or mum should allow access or not. How to sort out your finance. Who knows better than yourself? Who knows better than yourself, your families? So it should be the family. And that's why the family court encourages, insists on try mediation, try non-court dispute resolution. There are a number of ways of doing it. So mediation was the most important one. They encourage, go back to mediation. Since April last year, 2024, you're required to try more, before a court hearing, because you'll have 2 to 3 court hearings, maybe 3 court hearings average. You need to try mediation. You need to demonstrate that you've tried it, known as the non-court dispute resolution process, and to say that, no, I've tried this process, it hasn't worked. A lot of people want to avoid that. So more and more courts are sending back to mediation. Although it's voluntary, but it's almost becoming mandatory.
I mean, how, as a mediator, obviously you're talking to the man, and then you're talking to the woman, and then you're talking to the man, and you're talking to the woman. How do you kind of balance your emotional detachment to ensure that you're not inclined towards him or inclined towards us? It's tough. It's a tough thing to do. Yes.
It is one of the. If you're genuinely trying to help people, and you hear things that shouldn't.
That just don't sound right. Yeah.
But even then, at that point, you still have to be balanced.
Yeah.
And you have to keep checking yourself that are you being balanced or not.
Yeah.
So it is a hard thing to do, but it comes over time and effort. But you have to keep a check balance. I'm not supposed to be judging. Mediators do not judge.
Yeah.
Whatever their issue is, we're here to listen and point them to the right direction.
And on that note, I have actually a really funny question. Have you ever spoken to a couple where you just think you two just need to be in the same room and make up?
Has that ever happened, actually?
Have you ever felt like
through
that?
The mediation, have they actually said, do you know what?
Actually, I miss him.
I realised something, and we're talking how we used to, and that's it. We're going to stop.
We're fighting how we used to.
I love that story.
Has that ever happened?
But I couldn't say exactly like that, but it has happened. I mean, two parties came to mediation, and they're Muslim couples, and they realised they could make things work together, and they wanted to from mediation to reconciliation. So just for the purpose of Muslim communities, I do reconciliation, but not us under the FMC Mediation Council.
So you had to take that hat off,
off
and put the other hat on.
So I've worked with this couple for a few sessions, and then every now and then, and work with them every now and then if they need anything.
That's
so
such
there
a
have
lovely,
been 2 or 3
positive story, isn't it?
It does happen, but the idea is, don't forget, it's the children is define us. 2 parties have decided to go their separate ways. What an honourable thing to do, to go and honourably your separate ways.
With grace.
With grace, absolutely. I mean, to sort out the finance, to sort out the children, to know that these children, to know that the both parents are there in their life. It's the most important thing. I mean, nobody can change those to mum and dad.
No.
But they need to work together.
I mean, I say that you chose to marry each other.
Yeah.
They didn't choose you as their parents, you know. So they've been given to you as a blessing, as a gift, and you can't abuse that. No. You have to nurture their childhood, and whatever you decide should not impact them, you know. No. And I'm so strict about that, even in my own experiences and with my friends and family who I know that are struggling. I'm like, their children are not the reason why you are where you are, and they should not be impacted by your actions, or at least a minimal, you know, the impact should be minimal. But because we've asked you this really cute story now, is there any other sweet stories you'd like to share with us?
There are lots of positive stories.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say they all come together, but they have gone their separate ways. One of my earlier cases, one party lives abroad, I won't mention which country, and the other party. So they sorted their finances out, they sorted their children out. They've both gone ahead and married individually, and then moved on with their life. The issue is resolved through mediation. So often when there is so much conflict going on, you're going through the court process, you're stressed going through the whole process, you're forgetting yourself. You can't focus on yourself because there's so much, you know, you've got money, you've got stress and children not seeing,
it's very emotional,
they can't move on with their life.
I want to go on more about, so you were talking about obviously separation and then different countries. So you work with families from diverse backgrounds. How does the culture and community affect those differences?
Hugely. I mean, of course, we all have conflict. Whatever culture or community come from, we have conflict. And understanding conflict, understanding the culture, only through understanding the culture, you can help the parties. For example, I've got clients that have gone to white English mediators or other cultural mediators. They won't understand the subtleties. So we have so few Muslim mediators and within the FMC. So I've gone back to FMC to say, look, we need to do more for ethnic minorities. And so I'm one of the mediators within the FMC bringing diversity. So this whole end of the last month, we were having family mediation week. So to inform about mediation, so I had run few sessions about diversity, culture, and bringing mediation
I think it's so
accessible.
important to remember that culture does play an aspect in mediation, because if you don't understand the culture, there are some things specific to different ethnicities and cultures that not everyone will understand, and you do have to go into that.
For example, we have a Muslim mediator, non-Muslim mediator won't understand the difference in khula and talaq.
Yeah.
Often it comes up in discussion.
Yeah.
So the subtlety that they won't get, and the important that did the wife receive 3 talaq or 1 talaq, what that means to her, and the impact that it had when she received that. So knowing these subtleties is hugely important, and that's why even mediators are asked to train other mediators. So I'm running.
That's what I was going to
trainings,
go on to next, is about your training. So did you have to have like formal training for
I had
this?
to have
And
formal
do you have
training.
constantly, obviously, train because things must be changing all the
Absolutely.
time?
We have to have CPDs regularly, had to have formal training. One of the hardest things, training itself isn't hugely difficult. The difficulty is being credited. It took me 3 years to be accredited
I have friends
mediator.
that are mediators. It took them years.
It's an absolutely nightmare of a process for getting accredited mediator estates, basically. So, and you continuously train, and you have to every 3-4 years you have to recredit yourself, so you have to go through the accreditation process again. So it's a lot involved.
I mean, it sounds like an incredible thing that you're doing, brother, and may Allah give you lots of barakah and success in it, and give you the means to help as many families as possible. Now, if we were to try and reach out to you, if any of our audience feel like they know somebody that needs to connect with you, how can they find you?
I think what's important is they should go to FMC, Family Mediation Council website.
Okay.
We are all registered mediators. You find a good mediator that you can work with. It's important that you need to be able to have that conversation, listen to the mediator, and have that, see if you can build that rapport with the mediator.
Yeah.
Anyone accredited mediator is fine. Salam Mediation is my organization. You're more than welcome to call me.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, so long as they're
your
registered.
website, you have your own website as well, right?
salammediation.co.uk.
Okay, salammediation.co.uk, and also there are booklets and various different information specifically on his website and resources.
Alhamdulillah. I think we're putting the world to the rights through family mediation, inshallah, and I really hope that you can continue supporting. MashaAllah, there's a website. It looks very nice and calm and well laid out.
And
MashaAllah.
even has a free 30-minute consultation, so no
Alhamdulillah.
excuse.
Allah Mubarak. So there's some really good resources there you can download.
I've gone out of my way to put information for accessible. Whatever they need, they will find. Even if they have to go to court with themselves, they can go to court. There's enough information there. So.
Alhamdulillah. Well, brother, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been a pleasure, and
Yes.
hopefully we'll see you again in the near future, inshallah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
for
you
your
for the
time.
work you do.
Thank you.
Right, guys, look, divorce, separations, they're such interesting, pivotal stages of people's lives. I'll share a really quick short story with you. I have a friend, a childhood friend, and her parents were divorced from the age of, and she's not Muslim, so her parents were separated from the age of 4. And I've gone to school, college, everything with her. So she's like, my wing woman and my bestie. And I always knew her parents as divorced. They both got married.
Yeah.
They both had partners. And they used to go on these blended family holidays together. And in the summer, she'd go away with her mum, her dad, her stepmom, her stepdad, and her half siblings from both parents.
But then for her, that is her family.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And then 36 years later, when we were 36, I went out for an afternoon tea with her, and I said, how's your mum? She's fine. She's going through a divorce. Oh, okay. How's your dad? He's fine. He's getting married again. Ah, okay.
Not to each other. Is that
so
the story?
I was like, okay, that's amazing. I go, you invited to his wedding? She goes, yes. I was like, so let's go buy a dress. And she goes, I'm not going. I'm like, why not? She said, they're marrying each other.
So I was right then.
I was like, oh my God.
know.
She was so annoyed. She was like, you know what? I spent my whole life in a blended family. My parents divorced when I was 4 years old. What, so they could remarry when I was 36? And she was livid. She was livid. Where she should have been happy, she was livid.
But maybe this was their time then.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
But
why.
obviously, let's remain in context. Disclaimer, they're not a Muslim family. They are non-Muslim. So, obviously they don't have to worry about the whole mahram, nikah, khula, all of that business. Whereas with us, we have certain strict guidelines that we need to follow. Subhanallah.
But it can happen also, like just as Brother Tawheed was saying, that, free mediation can be reconciliation,
And,
which is the best.
That's the light at the end of the tunnel, because, one thing that the shaitan wants is to separate two partners, husband and wife, from each other. Subhanallah, may Allah. Yeah, sorry, brother, go for it.
What I was going to say is so important to look at the need of the children. So important to focus on the children because they're the one who's going to suffer most.
Yeah.
And give that opportunity, listen to their needs. And we as mediators can talk to children after a certain age to hear their side of the story. So please, as parents, focus on the needs of children.
Get them involved in the process because it's
that's
also
really good to know that you like have the opportunity to speak to those as well.
Jazakallah, brother. Thank you so much. Right, what are we doing? Are we going to go for a break?
A quick break.
Let's go for a quick break. We'll see you soon.